got your notepads ready. Make sure that you have positioned yourself. Make sure you got a cup of something nice to drink so that you don't miss a thing, because this is going to be an amazing session and I'm really looking forward to the impact that it has in your respective spaces. So over to you, Shalina, the LinkedIn strategist.
Thank you so much, Claudine. Hi, guys. I'm excited to be here. I'm super excited. And I don't take it lightly that Claudine has shared her platform with me. She's been nurturing you guys for the past 5 years and probably even longer. So I'm grateful to be here and to share some insights with you. And to the point that Claudine made, the principles for the online space definitely kind of you can cross promote against platforms. So yeah, definitely take the insights and leverage them. I would love for you to be active on LinkedIn, but if that is not your space, then as we've said, take the principles and use them over wherever you hang out. All right, so first of all, we've been given a challenge of increasing our followers, our connections by 250, by a number of 250 by the end of the year. In this session, what I want to do is to help you to be able to audit your profile so that you know where you are, but also give you some of the strategies and tactics for how you can achieve that goal and use the platform more effectively. I do want to just say, in terms of mindset, LinkedIn growth is about consistency, right? Getting visible through small daily actions. It's not overnight magic. We're not waving wands and hoping for things to just sprout. It does take work. LinkedIn can be deemed a slow burn, right? It does take work, but you need to show up and do the work. So, if you are new to me, if you've never seen me before, just by way of brief introduction, I'm Chelena Peart, the LinkedIn lady. I work with female entrepreneurs who are 40, over the age of 40, right? They're transitioning from employment to entrepreneurship, and where they struggle is leveraging the online space. So, LinkedIn is the social platform of choice that we leverage, but we also leverage other digital platforms, spaces, blogs, websites, the things that allow you to get visible, to get in front of people, and to get the leads, the clients, the opportunities that you are seeking for. Right. So what I'm going to do at the end of this session, I will drop a guidebook. I use this for a boot camp that I did previously, but this will help you guys also. And it just walks you through auditing your profile so that in Q4 you can achieve the goal that you have set. So I'll drop that in at the end of the session. Right. So why LinkedIn? Why LinkedIn? If you are not bought into LinkedIn just yet, there are 950 million users on the platform. Like that to me is exciting because I can't service 950 million, but could I service like 0.1% of that, right? Think about that. How many clients, how many jobs do you need, right? The size and the scale of LinkedIn is really exciting. The fact that for business owners, it's 6 times more likely to convert into leads. HubSpot did some research, and that was the data that they put out. So if you are looking for clients, if you're looking for leads, being on LinkedIn is definitely the place for you to be. And then in terms of being found off of LinkedIn, LinkedIn provides an opportunity for you to be found on Google by the keywords that you use, by the content that you put out. You can be found for a search on Google or other search engines. I'm trying to think I don't know who else. I don't know who is still out there, but you can be found outside of the platform, right? But also from a like, let's take it down a level in terms of your profile, it's the first impression. When you go networking, it's often, as you're wrapping up, the question that you're asked, are you on LinkedIn? And most people gasp. They're like, I am, but right? They start to hyperventilate because they know that they've neglected LinkedIn. So when they meet you, they're going to go and check you out. They're going to go and follow you. So having your profile set up and ready to receive those new connections is definitely what you want to do. But if it's unclear, if it's outdated, if it's generic, you've had this lovely chat and now they just think, ah, move on to the next one. So it's like your first and last opportunity, I think, to be taken seriously, right? So let me know who is in the room. I've got the chat open. Drop in the comments who you are, who you serve, and also drop your LinkedIn link, right? This is about growing our connections. So I can't see exactly how many, there's 39 of us on, right? So this is your opportunity. Drop your links into the chat. And if you do not know where to find your links on a desktop, it will be your URL at the top, right? That's where you'll get it from a desktop. And just another tip while I'm here, if you have not amended your URL and it has a string of XYZ115431, that doesn't look good. For brand awareness, for professionalism, you should tailor your URL, right? And you do that on the desktop when you're logged into your profile with this little pencil icon that I've circled, right? If you're on a mobile phone, again, go to your profile. These three dots here will, when you click on the three dots, it will open up with a share option for you, right? So get on with that and I'll continue with the presentation. So, why is it important for these last few months of 2025? Why are we even bothering with LinkedIn? In Q4, this is when people are planning for 2026. This is where hiring, partnering decisions, buying decisions are being made. So, visibility now actually prepares you for opportunities later. So, we're doing the work now, getting in position, getting ready while others are starting to wind down. We're ramping up so that we can grab those opportunities in 2026. So, I said small, consistent action really beats like being sporadic, posting only when you have an offer. Let's go for consistency. And consistency doesn't mean every day. I'll get into that. All right, so maybe you have neglected LinkedIn. As I said, maybe you've neglected it. Maybe you know in the pit of your stomach that your ideal clients are on the platform, but you just do not know how to leverage those opportunities. You don't know how to use the platform. Maybe you feel embarrassed by your profile because you've neglected it. Maybe you're worried about getting visible. You're thinking about your colleagues, your old boss, your neighbor who has connected with you. And because of that, you just sit on the sidelines, maybe not doing or saying anything. Or we tend to just engage and celebrate the people in our network. That is not going to move the needle. That's not going to get you the results that you want. So, in terms of why you want to get visible, right? It helps you to get noticed by the right people, clients, employers, collaborators, and really it clears a path for you to win. That's the kind of essence of visibility. And in layman's terms, if you do not have visibility online, right, that equals to no attention, no eyeballs, no traffic, nobody knows about you, that ultimately means no opportunities. So whether it's a job that you're looking for, if you're looking for clients, if you're looking for business partners, collaborators, opportunities, things to come to you, if we don't start with visibility, then it just all undermines all of your goals and efforts. So, what I want to do is introduce to you what I like to call the visibility gap, right? So, this is where there's a disconnect between your audience, your ideal people, those people that you want to go after, because they have a lack of awareness of you, right? And on the other side is where you want to be. So you want to be actively engaging. You want to find people that are buying, people that can open doors for you. So over on this side, there's you, right? You've got this expertise. You are incredible at what you do, but you're unseen, right? You've got this fear of showing up. Maybe you're inconsistent with putting yourself out there and you're overthinking. You ultimately want to get to the other side. You want to be recognized as an authority, right? I've said you've got expertise, you've got experience, but you now need that recognition. You want to have an audience that's engaged, that looks out for your content, that shares your content so that you can get even more visibility and a steady flow of opportunities. But it's like, how do we get over there? How do we make the leap? We need a bridge, right? And the bridge looks like, first of all, having clarity on your value. When you know exactly what you bring to the table, you show up differently, right? You show up and you speak with your chest because you know the value that you bring, you know the transformation that you can deliver. That needs to be communicated on LinkedIn, right? And that is when what you post, how you engage, resonates with the right people. And the next thing that you need to do is to be consistent with your content, creating posts and showcasing your expertise, right? Telling stories, having case studies, having white papers, perhaps, connecting with people emotionally. People often make buying decisions with emotion. So when you leverage storytelling, when you leverage feelings, that moves people along the buyer's journey. So positioning yourself as the answer to your audience's problems, that is what you do through your content. And then engaging, right? Showing up in the right conversations, commenting, connecting, collaborating. Maybe you create some content with a peer, right? That then gives you exposure to your network and theirs. People often think that LinkedIn is just about you saying stuff, you pushing your opinions. But how about like spending time engaging on other people's content, positioning yourself as that thought leader, that expert through the content that other people put on the platform. So visibility isn't just about talking, it is really about building relationships. And then the fourth thing is all around like having the confidence to show up. Like I just want to implore you to stop waiting for that perfect moment. There is none, right? Starting now and growing your visibility. When you take action, that's when momentum comes. We have to start for the momentum to come. So it's not about being perfect, right? So that was the visibility gap. And I hope that what I've shared has kind of just set the mindset for what I'm about to share with you next, right? Drop in the comments if any of that resonated, if you feel like an unseen expert, if you're not sure how to use the platform, right? But it all begins with building out your profile. That's where it starts. I use the analogy of if you have a dinner party and you invite people over and you haven't prepared for them. So you have no food, you have no drinks, you have no cutlery, there's nowhere for them to sit. Like, why are you inviting people over? Right? So don't start with the content, don't start putting stuff out because when you do that, you call people forward. They come over to your profile and it's not ready. It doesn't say what you do, who you help, the transformation. They just scroll away. It's a missed and a lost opportunity. So we always start with profile optimization, fancy word for just setting up your profile as you would do on Instagram, as you would do on Facebook, right? So I like to um, build out LinkedIn profiles with a framework, right? So there's like key sections of LinkedIn that do different things. So there are sections that will help you with personal branding and engagement. There's sections specifically for credibility and trust. There are sections for building your network and your community, as well as sales and lead generation, right? Due to the limitations of time, I'm gonna like whiz through the first three. So personal branding, trust and credibility, and network and community building, right? So let's get into it. So, in terms of, and you'll see like there's little puzzle pieces down below. So, we are currently in the personal branding and engagement, right? These are the sections that you need to leverage. So, I call this section the above the fold. This is when someone first lands on your profile, this top section, and it's called the above the fold. I call it, you know, like newspapers are folded over in the news agents. That headline is what encourages somebody to buy or to maybe skip it today. So we need to make sure that our above the fold section is compelling, right? It calls forward the people that we want to work with, the people that we want to serve. So your profile isn't just a CV, it's not just a resume tool, right? So starting first of all with your photo and your banner, having a photo that is primarily of your face, right? A lot of people I've seen will have like their whole torso and we can't see their face. people connect with faces, right? So having a photo that is clear, doesn't have your laundry in the background, and actually looks like you. So it's not from 30 years ago. We're not catfishing people. We want to have current photos. Your banner, again, is prime real estate. So this is this section up here, and you can create this in Canva. But having a banner that articulates what you do, who you help, and the results that you get, right? What you want to do is have something that is like your value proposition. You don't have to have text, you can have an image. But if you have an image here, please don't just put something random that's not connected to what you do. Don't just have a bunch of flowers if you are not a florist, right? So thinking about what that looks like. The next part of your above the fold is your headline. So this section here is really important because your headline actually travels with you. So when you comment, when you send a message, the first 50 characters are visible. I think you get like 220. So you want to front load the juicy bit at the front of your headline, right? So as you're commenting, as you're maneuvering across the platform, your headline is going with you, right? If that makes sense. Your headline is traveling with you. So here we want to have the keywords. I mentioned that you can be found off of the platform. If you've got the keywords, this is where you come up in more searches on LinkedIn, but you also come up in searches off of the platform. So maybe going to like Uber Suggest or Keywords Everywhere and doing some keyword research according to what you do. What are the keywords you should be sprinkling in your headline, in your content, in your comments, right? So that is a hack and a tip that I will share with you. Again, add in your link. If you have a link, right, to your website, to an offer, something you're selling, this is an opportunity to drive traffic to where you want people to go. So that's the above the fold section. The about section is the next bit that you come to. And often people set their profile up and they're like, I'll come back to this. And they don't often make it back. Again, this is an opportunity to extend what was above in your above the fold section. This is where you've got more space, more characters. Maybe start with a hook, right? Hook people in. On LinkedIn, the majority of the surfaces, I'll call them, whether it's a comment, whether it's a post, whether it's your about section, it often has that little see more button. And that see more button tells LinkedIn that your content is valuable, that people are engaged. That's a signal to them that they see value in what you're saying. So having at that the top section of your about area, something valuable that triggers somebody to click the see more. You could start with storytelling, you could start with results, right? But fleshing that out so that people engage. Maybe you share, once it's expanded, you share the why behind your business, behind what you do, the inspiration for why you started, the inspiration for why you do the particular job that you do. Highlight your achievements, right? Have demonstrative examples of results that you've got to demonstrate your expertise. And always make sure that you have a call to action at the end. After I've read your about section, it's like, so what? What's the next? What's the thing that you want me to do? So having a good call to action that tells people, do you want them to DM you? Do you want them to go to your website? Do you want them to book a discovery call with you? Being clear as to the next steps. And then I'll also say there's something on LinkedIn called dwell time. So the longer somebody hangs out around your content, around the different areas, again, it's sending a signal to LinkedIn that you are a person of value, you're a person that they should get in front of more people, right? So that's your about section. And then the featured section, right? A lot of people overlook this and just like doffing my cap to my brother in the faith, but also my brother that also helps people with LinkedIn. We can see here, Jeffrey has used his featured section, right, to first of all invite people to book a one-to-one clarity call. What I'll say to you is LinkedIn will pin whatever it likes here. If you don't curate the story, if you don't utilize this area for your own benefit, LinkedIn will just take a random post and post it here. And the image could be cut off. It could be you, I don't know, saying something and the image isn't flattering. We have to think of our LinkedIn profiles almost as like landing pages. So as you curate it, I use this as a funnel to drive people along. So getting them into a clarity call. He also has an opportunity to give success stories, client wins, thinking about the story, the narrative that you want to tell in this section. What I'll say to you, yeah, Jeffrey's incredible. He's really a great guy. This on a mobile, the first post is visible. You can have as many pinned. All right, like on Instagram, there's the pinned posts. This is the same over on LinkedIn. You can have as many of these as you like. However, on a mobile phone, the first one is visible. So think about what's the optimal thing that you want to pin here. Don't just pin a random thing. And then on a desktop, the first three are visible, right? You can scroll along. There's like a little clicker to scroll along, but we want to optimize for that initial view. Maybe you add a lead magnet here. Maybe you have a video. You can link out of LinkedIn. So you could add a link to your YouTube channel. You could add a link to your website. And then you can create these thumbnails in Canva, right? So helping to brand you, right, with your color palette, your theme, your look, the vibe that you're going for, so that you position yourself as the expert that you are. Experience, this section here, often again overlooked. We start these things and we're like, we're going to come back, and we never do. So go and have a look at your experience section. And it's not just to list your jobs. How I want you to use this is to share your story, to share your career journey, the key projects that you've worked on, the impact that you've had. And you can even add images, PDFs, links to videos, right? So you can make it quite interactive. It doesn't just have to be dull and boring. This is really useful for whether you are in a career or if you are an entrepreneur. What I've done is I've kind of removed the detail for previous roles as an entrepreneur. I want you focused on what I'm doing now. So I have the detail of where I've worked, the tenure, and like a line, but I want you to focus on this section. So if you've got jobs from when Johnny was a boy, like reduce that. It's not really that interesting now. It's not relevant to what you're doing now. We want attention and eyeballs on what you're doing now. So how can you make the thing now the thing that people pay attention to? Right? So that's the experience section. Guys, start to drop your questions in, right? So I can hoover those up towards the end. But as I'm speaking, if questions are coming to you, feel free to drop those in, right? What I want to do is just give you a little mini quick thing for you to do. Pick one thing today that you can tweak. So is it your headline? Is it your about section? Is it the featured content, the featured post? Pick one thing, and I would implore you to get to work on that today. And just by being here, by default, you've committed to do the work, right? So I'm holding and believing that you're going to do the work, right? So if you want assistance, right, with optimizing your profile, I have a guide with 11 bite-sized modules, less than maybe between 3 and 5 minutes, that shows you where to click, where to go to get your profile optimized. Again, I will share the details for that later on, right? So we'll skip on to this. The next thing is around content, right? For visibility. Content is really the currency on LinkedIn, right? And it's the currency in terms of how you show up, and in both senses, how you show up in terms of on the platform, we can visibly see your post, but also how you show up. I said showing up with your chest, showing up knowing the value that you bring, right? So having a strategy for your content is ideal. It's essential that you start with a strategy. So it could look like you having posts that share client stories, obviously with either anonymizing or getting approval to be able to do that. But when you share stories, you're sowing seeds, you are positioning yourself, you're social selling, selling without selling, right? Maybe you're sharing insights, frameworks, your approach to getting results. That is great for you to put in your content. And maybe it's sharing your values. Online, we want to call forward the people that we want to work with and we want to repel those that don't align with our values. So through your content, you're able to do that, right? There was an example, I think it was TFL who cancelled like a contract with one of the big four because they had reneged on some of their EDI initiatives. Now, to TFL, that was a value that they needed to keep in alignment. So, sharing your values is important because it will call forward the right people and it will repel others. Uh, so, in terms of content, you do not have to post every day, but what I would say is you need to post with purpose and be intentional. Consistency, whatever you define it. So if you say, I'm going to show up twice a week, I'm going to show up 3 times a week, being consistent with that, right? So your audience know when to expect you. LinkedIn also now knows what your rhythm is, right? What they don't want to do is put you in front of the LinkedIn network and then you ghost, you don't show up, right? So that consistency is important. Build trust at scale through your content. Your content, as I said, is an opportunity to showcase what you know, to showcase the results that you can get and the expertise that you have. You don't need to be perfect. As I've said, it isn't about perfection. We're not influencers. We're not social media experts. We are employees, entrepreneurs who are leveraging a free tool, right? Primarily, unless you've upgraded to premium. So we are leveraging it for the purposes that we have. And just sharing what you know with the right people, getting in front of those right people. So, in terms of content types, what does that look like? So, um, newsletters are a thing. They're quite big at the moment. If what you have to share is quite lengthy, quite long, won't necessarily fit into a normal post. A post is like 3,000 characters. So maybe what you share is quite complex, or you want to drip it out over like a number of weeks, fortnights, whatever. A LinkedIn newsletter is great. Infographics, people generally grab these things like Haribo. I don't know why, but they like get so excited by infographics. Can you share your frameworks, your ideas, your insights in an infographic? And you can create those super easily in Canva. Canva is Bay, right? You can definitely create your infographics there. Going live on LinkedIn, it's a fantastic opportunity to foster relationships in real time, to build an audience, to show what you know, people to see the whites of your eyes, especially in this AI generation, right? If you can get on live and you can share what you know, engage with people, answer questions, that is really going to uh, set you apart from everybody else because people are scared to go live. They are, right? So you could have just a regular picture post. You still have to have a story, a caption with your images. So you can't just put up a post, you still have to have words. But what you can do again, sprinkle those keywords into this section. Carousels are great as well. Sharing over a number of slides. So breaking down something and delivering it over a number of slides. Text posts, some people do. They don't necessarily add images, they will just have text, and that works. Videos, short form videos are doing really well on LinkedIn at the moment. So we have much the same as Instagram Reels or TikToks. We've got the short form videos. So maybe you could share a tip, right? 60 seconds to 90, no longer, sharing a tip and posting that on LinkedIn. Again, most people aren't doing that. So you are getting your head above the parapet, you're getting more visibility. And then polls are great for engaging. If you are considering perhaps maybe like a new offer, or you're considering, you want to do some market research, using a poll to garner feedback, input a poll is a fantastic thing for you to use. And then, super quickly, the anatomy of a post. What does a good post look like? Right? I'm just going to click through to the final one. Right? A good post looks like having a hook. Those first like two lines, hooking people in. We're scrolling and we're going so quickly. So, can you say something that stops the scroll? Using a visual, a photo, a carousel, again, that is another disruptor, another pattern interrupt. Then what in that post, we want to now give the meat. This is where the story, the tip now comes. This is the payoff. We've hooked them in. We don't want to catfish. We've said what the hook is. We now need to give the payoff in the body of your post. And then again, having a strong call to action. That is essential. Just as like a summary for a good post, use short sentences. Don't write reams and reams. Break your sentences, like long paragraphs, up. People are on their phone for the most part. So if you've got solid blocks of text, people just won't engage. And then just removing the fluff. Be clear, not clever, right? So if you think, oh, this is smart and witty, it often doesn't land. Using bullets, spacing, make it skimmable, right? Make it skimmable. Um, I'm gonna call it to a close. There are a few more segments that I would love to go into, but what I would just challenge you with, right? The next 30 days, what I would love for you to do, if you're willing, right? Tweak your profile, get your profile in order, get that sorted, your headline, your about section, your featured. Think about the content that you're going to put out. So plan your posts, plan the content, use the anatomy of a post. Engage. It's not just about posting, it is about engaging as well. So, engaging with between 5 to 10 people on their content, getting involved in the right conversations, not just with your friends, but doing searches for the topics that are relevant to your niche and your area. And then being bold and just sending connection requests, right? Send out 10 connection requests. If you set your profile up correctly, they will come over, check you out, and they will connect, right? So, guys, that I'm going to call that to a close. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a blessed day and do the work. That's the most important thing, right? I have given you a number of tactics that you can go ahead and do. If you just listen to me and don't implement, then yeah, we've had a nice time, but there's no fruit at the end of it. So I'm going to stop sharing. I am going to stop sharing.
Oh, Chelena, thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible. I hope everyone's got pages of notes. Whilst you were speaking, I did see a number of questions in the chat, but here's what I'm going to do.
Yep.
I'm going to ask those people with questions if you can use the reaction buttons to raise your hand, and if you can make your question as succinct as possible, not story. Let's just go straight to the point, and then we can get in as many questions as possible, and then we can see make sure because here's the goal, here's the task that I had asked you all. If you haven't done so already, I want you to now go and check how many followers do you have. Write it down, make a note of it. How many followers do you currently have? Because Chelena already done told me 250 is way too low, right? That's low hanging fruit. But I want you to increase your followers by, let's say 500. Is that a bit better, Chelena?
500 is doable. It is
Okay, all right,
definitely doable in the time we have, if
all
you're
right.
intentional.
Okay, so we're going to be intentional. We're not going to let Shalina just come here and just say all these great things and give her a wonderful round of applause and say this was great and then go home and do no well, we are home and then do nothing, right? So your target is 500 new followers by December. She's already given you everything that you need in order to make that happen. And if you need more, if you need some more help, she's already told you how you can do that. So let's go to the questions very, very quickly. We'll go to Rachel and then Joyce. Please make your questions succinct, and then Shalene will take those for you.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and good morning, Chelene. Thank you so much for the amazing presentation that you've given us. And so I have a question in
Mm.
regards to your LinkedIn profile. So I would say a lot of people have their, main jobs, and then they might have side things that they're interested in. So, for example, maybe you work as a project manager, but on the side you do like property or
Mm.
photography, etc. Would you say it's better to just focus your LinkedIn on your, your main job, what you're doing, or is it okay to also incorporate maybe your property side stuff or your fashion side stuff that you're also doing? Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Rachel. Great question. I think it comes down, first of all, to what your contract work-wise says. Don't do anything that if maybe you've got like a social media policy that says you cannot have a side gig, something else on the side. So start there and be sure that it's okay for you to do that. That's point one. I think point two, often the confused mind doesn't buy. So if you are like multi-passionate, multi-talented, and you're speaking about a zillion things, sometimes that can cause confusion. What I say is to leverage on LinkedIn, you have something called company pages, but you also have showcase pages. So you as the personal brand may have a passionate interest in fashion. You could have a showcase page or a company page where that content is shared. So that's a suggestion if that is the case for you.
Thank you.
You're
Brilliant.
welcome. Good to
Great
see
question, Rachel. We'll go to Joyce and then Jackie.
Hi, Chelena, thank you so much once again. It follows on from Rachel's question. So you mentioned showcase page and company pages. So if you're multi-talented, for example, as I mentioned, did a Zumba class, I'm now a Zumba instructor. I'm
yeah.
also a leadership coach. I'm a dating coach. There's quite a few involved in, but my full-time work is a leadership and management coach. What advice would you give with that sort of profile?
Yeah, so I think it's okay to add an interest, a hobby. It just shows you as a rounded person. I think having interests, as I said, they repel or they call forth. It becomes confusing when the messaging is unclear, right? So I've called forward people for the leadership stuff, but all they're seeing when they come to my profile is Zumba. That is the calling me over to dinner and not being ready. So thinking about you kind of can't sit on the fence in some senses. You could maybe do the 80-20. So 80% is about leadership, and then the other 20% is about your hobbies. That makes you a rounded person and relatable, someone that people can connect with. So I think it's making a decision like how do you want to leverage the platform? What is the result that you want? Do you want Zumba clients? Do you want leadership clients?
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You are
And
welcome.
if I could add to that also, let's not forget, for the most part, I do believe that people are wanting to build their business. So it might be nice to have all these other things, but if that's not where your traction, if that's not where your clients are coming from, is that if that is not what is making you money, you do then have to determine, is this a hobby that I'm advertising, or is this a business that I am looking for professional interested buyers who are ready to make an exchange? And I think that process, we don't want to negate that. All
Mm.
right, we are going to go to Jackie and then Marie. These questions are absolutely great, by the way.
Hi, Shalina. Awesome as
Hey,
always.
Jackie.
Just quickly, if you haven't been as consistent on LinkedIn for a while, what's the best way to reintroduce yourself to people? Because I've seen lots of long reintroduction posts.
Mm.
Is that the best way to go, or is it best to drip feed it? And also, when you're sending connection requests, is it always important to have a personalized note?
All right, I'll deal with the second question first. I don't send personalized notes because in my mind, I've optimized my profile. I'm intentional with who I'm connecting with. So if they come to my profile, you only get, all right, so I'm on premium now. I wasn't always. You get like maybe 5 free connections that you can personalize. So yeah, use those first. And then I would just optimize your profile, send your connection request. When they connect, this is now when you can go back and say why you were connecting,
Mm.
and kind of nurture the relationship from there. And then in terms of when you haven't been consistent and you want to like reintroduce yourself, I feel like the length of the post is arbitrary. It's about like I would say leaning into storytelling. Like, why were you away? What's been happening? What have you been working on? Getting people excited and bought into the thing that you've been doing. Or maybe there was a challenge or a struggle, right? Being authentic and showing that. I think that's how you kind of reintroduce yourself on LinkedIn.
Okay. And would you repost your reintroduction posts? I've seen people
Repost it on another platform or
no on LinkedIn. I've seen people repost their own posts on
on the
LinkedIn.
same day.
Yeah, and after a few hours.
Yeah, so a lot of people do that because if you have like a network in another time zone, so maybe you've posted in the morning and then you want to get your time zone, you want to get your network in another time zone. So maybe at like, I don't know, later on in that day, you could repost it. People do that.
That's great. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. I love how you snuck three questions in there,
I
Jack.
know. That's very brave of me, isn't it? Really.
Awesome, awesome. All right, we've got Marie and then Zena. Over to you, Marie.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Right, so I'm going to sneak in three as well. I'll call them points instead of questions.
Mhm.
So the first one is you spoke about LinkedIn and how to increase your presence and numbers in terms of connections. How
Mm.
do you speed up that process, to accelerate that process? Because I have my separate account, but also the I created a business account as a first point. The other one is that I had a account that has been deactivated, I expect, for my business, and it requested like a privacy check and pictures to be taken of myself, and it's just kind of disappeared. So I wanted to know if there's anything I can do. Obviously, contact them, but is anything I can do to kind of speed up that process and get that sorted out? And then the last point is, how do you keep your personal account separate in some ways to your business account if you're trying to build up the presence of the business rather than focusing on the individual personality?
All right. I go backwards because I got a short memory. So in terms of you can't keep them separate. A business profile is linked to a personal profile. So some people do have like two personal profiles. You shouldn't. It is against LinkedIn's terms of use. It's almost like it causes confusion, but also it could be like impersonation. It just opens the door for confusion and potentially fraud. So your personal profile and your company page are connected. You don't necessarily have to pin your company page to that above the fold section. I have mine there because I want people to know it's personal branding. I want people to go over to it. So you could set up a company page, put stuff there. If somebody decided to dig and find out, they could. You don't have to, again, reshare content from your company page to your personal page, but they are linked and there's no real way around that. In terms of the issue that you're having, yeah, you'd have to contact them. I know that I've had people who have set up profiles, lost their email address, don't know how to get in. I just have to direct them to, I don't work for LinkedIn. Yeah, so contact them, they'll be able to help you. And then in terms of accelerating the process of growing your network, so engaging, always engaging, putting content out. Think of it, we can post once a day, but we can engage multiple times, right? That's getting you more visibility. And if what you're saying is valuable, people are nosy. So when they're checking the comments, they're going to be like, ooh, what did Marie say? Who is this person who's giving value? Let me come over. Going live, that's a great way for growing your network. And then I would say attending events on LinkedIn. That's another good way to grow your network. I hope that was helpful.
These
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I really love your emphasis, Chelena, around engaging, because engaging doesn't only mean posting, right? People think, oh, I'm gonna post 3 times a day. Yeah, but you still have to talk to people.
Yeah, yeah.
And the talking is the engaging. So you still have to like and comment other people's posts. You still have to do that in order for them. And one of the things that has really worked well for me, sometimes I mean, not sometimes I'll do a post, but I'll also just spend some time going on other people's who I'm following and commenting on theirs. And what I found when I had those really big, like there might be days or months, weeks where I've got this mass influx of followers. And if you link it all back, it's because I've been liking and commenting on other people's stuff. And those people who are also liking and commenting on somebody else's are now following me. So I really love your emphasis about this is two-way. You can't just expect, oh, I've posted, everybody needs to show up. You also need to comment on other people's.
It's a conversation for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Zena, it looks like you've got the last question for today.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Dr. Z.
Hi, darling. Fantastic as usual. I've got two questions, but I'll do them really, really quick. The first one, which is the one I really wanted to ask, but something else you said reminded me of the second one, is I get a lot of pitching and it's driving me nuts. I get lots of DMs, and so you're thinking, oh my days, yeah, they've loved the post, or that, this is a connection. This is this last thing I've been waiting for. Thank you, Father. God has answered my prayers. And then you kind of look at it on your phone and you're thinking, okay. And then you realize it's just another pitch. Oh, we saw that you're fantastic about this. We want to list you in 1,000 people. We want to do all the wonderful things that make your head big. And then, but I always ask, what's the investment? I don't even waste time. They're like, oh no, just book some time. I'm like, you've contacted me. Why am I booking time on your, so that drives me nuts. I get a lot of that, a lot. And I want to know how to manage that because it really drives me nuts. Yeah, because it gives me false expectations. You're thinking that what you've been doing is working and stuff like that, and it's always someone trying to take more money from you when you're trying to stretch the ones that you've got. That's right. The first question. And then the second question is, and I don't know if you can, because you've already said you're not, you said it in Nigerian accent though. I'm not the LinkedIn lady, but let me ask you anyway. Is my name, and many of us that are from other countries probably have short forms of their name. So my name's Zena Irins. I've used that all my life. Even when I got married, I didn't change my surname. But I want to get the tick. And every time I try to get the tick, the verified on LinkedIn, they say, send your passport. I do all of that. Send my driver's license, but it's got my married name. It's got my full name. And they're like, no, you're not the person, and I want to know how I can get around that. How do I contact LinkedIn and stuff like that? Yeah.
Okay, so super quickly, I've not mastered the getting verified on LinkedIn myself. I have gone around the mulberry bush with that one, and I've just drawn a line under it. It's not as straightforward. The whole sending your passport, and it hasn't, I don't know. If anyone has figured it out, please drop in the chat, help Dr. Z and myself. So yeah, that's a quick answer to that one. In terms of the pitch slapping that happens on LinkedIn,
Sure.
unfortunately, it's just a byproduct of the platform because of the fact there are 900 million people on there, because of the fact that income levels are higher than on any other platform, and they know that people have disposable, they're wanting to up level, they're wanting transformation. People will invariably make offers. If you have your services page turned on, I don't know if you do. That's like a marketplace where you can sell your services on LinkedIn. What I've done is I've turned that feature where they can request a proposal from me off. And the reason I do that is because they've circumvented the system. I get these notifications. Someone wants a proposal. Again, I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When I open it, they're like, hey, do you want me to build your website? They realize they can use the thing to pitch me, right? So you could turn that off, still use the services, still show what you offer, but just if they want to contact you, they would do it by a DM as opposed to this proposal approach. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, maybe like through your messaging, chances are though, most of those people don't actually go to your profile. They do it via Sales Navigator or they do it via some third-party tools. They're not actually they're just spamming people, a long list. They do a search, they look for leadership coach, everyone that comes up, they just send a blanket message. So yeah, it's like there's not really, I don't know, of a way to avoid that. What I do with my inbox, you can have like on Instagram your other inbox. So I have my focused ones, the people that I'm nurturing, the people I want to talk to, and then if I see your nonsense, you just go into the other one, and then you keep talking to yourself in that inbox.
That's all right. I should forget how to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Woo! Have you taken a sip of water, Chelena? This has been absolutely fantastic. So much rich, easy to implement tips, tools, and tactics that you have shared. So, first of all, let me say thank you so much for sharing on the Navigating Life Empowerment class.
You're very
The
welcome.
second thing that I'm not sure if everyone has done this as yet, but if you haven't done so already, I need you to double check right now the number of followers that you currently have on your LinkedIn page. How many followers do you have on LinkedIn? And then I want you to write plus 500 because that's the target. Chelena has given us enough tips, tools, and tactics. She spoke about a 30-day action plan. She spoke about tweaking. She spoke about building out your profile above the fold. She spoke about the About Us section, the features section, your experience section. She spoke about tweaking and having a plan in place. She spoke about engaging and connecting with others. Some of you, I know that you're saying, look, I want to have 2 pages or 3 pages. Listen, just start with one. I'm sorry to be hard about this, but don't be telling me that you've got 5 pages and one for this and what. Just start with one. We don't have time to be managing 5 pages. Let one page blow up and get to where you want it to get to, and then start another page. Do one thing at a time. We only have 24 hours, and I don't know how many of you realistically have enough time, 3 hours in a day, to sit down managing one LinkedIn page, much less 5.
Yeah.
So that's my challenge for you. And over the next couple of weeks, we are going to be checking in and dipping in and out and checking in as to how you're getting on in your how you're getting on with growing your followers. And the reason this is important is because many of you come to me and say, I want to start a business, I want to write a book, I want to launch my podcast. That's all great. You want to launch to a community. You want to launch to more than 5, 10, 300, 200 people. So what you're doing in the background, even if you're not ready, you can start the process so that when you do launch, there is a bigger group of people that you are launching to. How many of you accept the challenge? Just type, just give me your reaction buttons. Just let me see some reaction buttons. How many of you accept the challenge? Yes, Karen, I see you. Yes, Valerie. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, this is good.